Hello, and welcome to our all-day podcast with myself, KLJ. I am absolutely delighted to introduce to you an artist from New York. In New York is the fantastic singer-songwriter Kayka. Welcome, Kayka. How are you doing?
Hi. Oh, I'm doing great. Excited to be here.
Fantastic. Well, this is my little spin-off podcast where we get to know the artist with a few kind of questions, the artist behind the music. So I'm going to fire straight away with one of the most cliche questions in the world. When did you find the love of music? At what age?
Oh, okay. Well, I started playing the piano at 8 and I did enjoy it. But I think it was in my teenage years that it became really meaningful to me. So it's probably not that unusual. Something changes from your childhood into your teens where you just need a deeper meaning in life. So even though I played the piano, something about music suddenly became my soul. And I also started playing guitar as a teenager. So then I liked the combination. When I first started playing piano, it was taught more like classical. I had a classical piano teacher, so I played classical music, and I still love classical music. I even write instrumental, classical style, new age instrumental piano music. But I feel like when I started guitar, it opened the door to, because guitar is taught a little bit different in the beginning where you're singing and playing. And then I also started singing, playing on piano. I was like, wait, I can teach myself this too. And it just opened the door. I started writing songs and it just became like the most important thing to me. So it was starting in my teenagers and I never stopped ever since.
So you mentioned that you play some instruments. So what else do you play? You play the guitar, the piano.
I play the guitar and the piano. Yeah. And ukulele became popular. It seems like in the past, like 5 to 10 years, maybe, so I wasn't playing ukulele as a kid, but in the past 5 to 10 years, I was like, you know what? And I also teach music, and there was a demand for all teaching ukulele, especially to like little kids. It's a little easier than guitar. So I started writing songs on ukulele as well. My most recent one I wrote and released is My Despair, and that's on ukulele.
Okay, that makes sense. So with you, because you write your own songs, I know that. You've got some fantastic songs on Spotify that I know all the words to. So the process of you creating your own original, do you find the lyrics come before the melody, or does the tune come? How do you kind of put it all together?
I think it usually comes in like a part. It's usually the chorus, and it comes in a way where I hear it in my head and I can sing it, and then I put it to music. So the music and lyrics are simultaneous, but I don't think they're on an instrument yet. They're in my head. But so then I'll sing it. And the thing with new songs, I don't know if this happens to everybody, but it probably does. You can forget your song because you just thought of it. So it's very important that I record it on my phone immediately.
100%.
Because if like once I know it, like for a day, then I know it forever. But the new creation, I need to record it. So whenever I think of a song, the cool thing about being recorded on your phone, I can do this anyway. So I'll just sing it into my phone. And even say I'm busy, I'm at work or something, I can go back to it later, and then I can put some more music to it. And then I start shaping around that chorus, and I'll think of what's the story behind it, and then I'll write more music and lyrics to it.
That's a fantastic tip, actually, for anyone listening to this little podcast, because we have in the Top Talent family, we have a lot of people just starting out with their musical journey, younger people, we got people at the top of their game, and kind of everyone in between. So little tips like that are like gold dust, something so simple yet really effective, just to remember what pops into your head. So
I would always recommend to record your stuff in the beginning stages, even in the later stages, because sometimes what happens is if you especially if you have a lot of music, if you haven't played something in a while, you could forget it. That's especially true for Christmas songs. Always record your Christmas, because I only play them once a year, and every year I have to relearn my Christmas song. So it's always good to have, even if it's not formally recorded and released, at least record it in your phone, just in case you ever forget it.
have a memo of it to go back to. Yeah, no, that's a really good tip. So growing up, Kayka, have there been anyone that you constantly listened to that kind of inspired you in your style? Is there anyone in your childhood that you listened to regularly?
Well, I mean, I know the artists that I like. I don't know if I necessarily sound like them, though. Sometimes what you sound like just comes out of your own being, you know. I don't know sometimes where it comes from. But I do know, like, I was a big Fleetwood Mac fan, you know, I do like that. And then in the 90s, I was into like Alanis, but I don't know if I necessarily sound like either of them, you know. You're just, you get influenced by music, but I still feel like there's something that is stylistically inborn that just creates that. I notice that in other people. You can't, because I'm also a music teacher, and I notice you can't teach style. I can teach you how to play an instrument. I could teach you how to sing better. But the people I see who are putting out good music, because I have students who also put out music, I'm like, oh, I didn't teach them that. That came from somewhere else.
So within, it's like any artists that do their own singing, do their own songs from start to finish. It's like, it's a labor of love, isn't it? You're putting all yourself into it. I used to be a singer songwriter myself back a long time ago, so I can kind of relate. And it's a diary of your life, isn't it? Really, a lot of lyrics that
it is. Yes, basically, that's a good way of putting it. That's what it is. But it's a diary that everyone is allowed to read. So it's an edited kind of diary.
So you've performed many live gigs. You're always on the go, aren't you? Has there been a gig or a concert that you performed in that really stood out as a highlight, you know, like, wow, that was incredible back then? Like, is there a time that really stands out for you?
I mean, there have been so many over the years, you know. I mean, I did like a show once. It was like an off-Broadway thing that a friend of mine was directing. So that was interesting. And this was many years ago, I'm telling you, you know, but I always thought that was pretty cool. Then recently, you know, I was talking about how I like Fleetwood Mac. I opened up for a Fleetwood Mac tribute band, and it was on a really big stage, and I went by myself as the opening act. And it's always interesting when you're alone on a big stage, because it looks intimidating from the other side. It's like, oh, I have to be on that stage and it's just me. But then once you're on the stage, it's different because you're in it, and it's not scary anymore to me because I'm in it. It only looks scary when I'm staring at it. Once I'm in it and I just see the audience, it just feels like, then I just use my skill and do what I'm doing. But I found that was fun because, one, it was a big stage. Two, I really like Fleetwood Mac. And this was like a band that they actually made a living like touring as a tribute band. So I just thought that was a fun gig. It was just memorable because it was just cool.
That does sound fun.
Yeah. And the other gigs I really enjoy, sometimes it's just the smallest, most intimate place. Like there's a place in New York City I play at called the Anyway Cafe, and it's the smallest place. And I love that because you get such a personal interaction with everybody there.
Absolutely. Well, that goes in nicely with my next question, actually, because with lockdown, for artists that are used to performing, taking that away from someone, I mean, I've spoken to people where it depressed them, you know, and even to the point where some people are like, oh, I'm a bit nervous to perform, like, because I haven't done it for so long. Like, so during lockdown, did that help your creativity kind of blossom, having that time at home to have to kind of stop and think, right, I've got to be at home, I might sort of do what I'm good at?
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. I did a lot with writing new material and also recording. I did some interesting things where I was recording some stuff at home, which in the past I didn't do it so much. So I started recording more at home and also using an online recording studio, which is actually called the Online Recording Studio. And interesting, it's based in England where you are. So this is where I was reaching out to people in different countries. And that was not something I did prior to the pandemic. So it kind of opened the door to just being able to communicate with people all over the world. And recording material with people from a different country and being able to do it all online. So I actually put out a number of songs during the pandemic because of it.
Yeah, it's incredible how everyone's had to adapt to the new way. I mean, of course, you cannot beat a live performance, getting that feedback and everyone dancing and having fun. But now it's, on the flip side, having concerts and stuff live stream, you've got that interaction with questions,
Right.
direct questions. So it's pros and cons, isn't it? Really, it's just
It is
the way it is. So for yourself, Kayka, have you been to any live shows recently, like in New York, where you've been like, wow, they've blown me away? Just anyone, whether they're big or small. Is anyone stand out to you that you weren't expecting that they were so good?
I have to tell you, since COVID, I haven't seen any big shows. I want to get back into seeing that. I mean, yeah. I'm going back like, what year was that? 2014. I saw Tori Amos in the Beacon Theater, and I thought her show was really great. Yeah, I do remember. But like I said, this is going back, so I need to see more. Yeah, more show. And obviously because of the pandemic, they weren't even doing it. But now that people are starting back up, I would like to. Yeah, I would like to. I think Joan Jett is out. I would like to see her. I think she's touring. Yeah.
So what's the live music scene like in New York, Kayka? Is it quite flourishing now? Things are opening up.
I wouldn't say it's flourishing, but it's coming back. So it was gone. I mean, obviously everybody was gone during the pandemic. There was a lot of live stream stuff going on, but everything was shut down for a while. So it's starting up and it's coming back. The scene in New York, it does change over the years. It is different now than it was many years ago. It was more of like more rebellious, like many, many years ago, more wild and crazy. And it's a little more conservative now, but I'm just happy that it's coming back from being like gone.
Absolutely. Well, so any of our viewers or listeners that are here to learn about Kayka, where do people find your music, Kayka?
I'm sorry, where did I what?
Where do people find your music online to listen to?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm on Spotify. Mm-hmm. So you can find me on Spotify. That would just be under Kayka, Kayka. And then I'm on YouTube. So that would be under Kayka Music. So just Kyka and Music. And then I'm on just a number of other platforms like, iTunes, Apple Music, Pandora, I have just all that stuff distributed. So the main thing I would say is make sure that if you're typing in my name into Google, that it doesn't get auto-corrected to kayak.
That's
make sure it's Kayka. Yes, no kayak. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I always find you have to put the music in as well. Kayka Music.
If you put Kayka Music, there's no other Kayka Music. That's the safest thing to do is type in Kayka Music, and then you could find it.
Yeah. So Kayka, what's coming up musically for you in 2022? What have you got planned this year for us?
Well, I'm currently working on a new song. I like to distribute my songs nowadays as singles. Some people still do the old-fashioned albums. I feel like for me, I just like doing the singles. So I have a new single coming out. It's still in the works. And then I plan on putting out a few more of those this year. So you can look out for that. And then I post my shows, so I try to continue to play out. I have my website, Kayka Music. Like I said, if you just do Kayka Music, you can find a lot of information about me.
Yeah, we don't want the kayak coming up, do we?
No, but they do. They always are. I'm like, stop it. Not kayak. There's more to life than that.
For all our lovely listeners, we'll make sure all the links are in the article that we're going to do for the website. And before I go, I've got one more question. It's not on the old notepad. I'm ad-libbing here. Tell me a bit about your music lessons. What do you teach, Kayka?
Oh, well, I teach guitar, piano, voice, and then also throw in some ukulele. So I do that for a living.
Are you doing online classes, or is it all face-to-face?
Well, no, this is where the pandemic evolved my teaching. Before the pandemic, I used to teach in person. So I work in a couple stores, and I also sometimes have people come over. And then pandemic started, and then everything went virtual. Yeah. So for like however long, I guess year and a half, I was doing virtual lessons. Recently, I started going back in person like one day a week. And now it seems to be that may be my future of a mix, because sometimes I'm finding some people are continuing virtual for a few reasons. One, some of the people that used to live near me moved far, far away, and how great that they can still stay with me as a student virtually. A bunch of people I know moved, and they can still remain students. And other people are remaining virtual because it's just convenient. They don't always have time to go meet me. But then there's other people that miss the personal interaction. So it's a nice mix of I have a nice mix of students now, with virtual and in person.
It would be fantastic to add into the article if you're looking for anyone else, Kayka. We'd love to put a link to your lessons that you do, because things are virtual these days.
Okay.
And, we'd love to put that in. I did had a little mini podcast with a fantastic bass player called David Pastorius. He's incredible. He was my first a podcastee, and he does bass lessons online, and we put that into the article. So if you can get something together,
it could be like my Gmail, KaykaMusic@gmail. Anybody can contact me that way. That would be fun.
Perfect.
Once again, Kayka Music is the universal way to find me, and just do at Gmail.
Perfect. We'll make sure that's all in. Well, thank you, Kayka. I feel like I've got to know you a little bit more. Obviously, you can't get to know each other too much within 10 minutes, but that's the beauty of having more podcasts down the line for episode 2. But yeah, it's the best job in the world for myself, because I love getting to know people. I love people's history and learning what's going on with them and what's happening in the future. So till next time, Kayka, this has been Kirsty, KLJ, little mini podcast that I do, and this has been the fantastic Kayka from the Bright Lads in New York City.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
And till next time. Bye, Kayka.
Great. Bye-bye.